What is up guys, my name is Dre and welcome to another Genshin Impact video. And as I promised guys, here is the showcase for my maxed out child. I will show you the stats in a bit. Before we dive into today's video, I just want to explain certain things. So this video will be pre-recorded prior to Child's rerun banner in patch 1.4. And I also can't stress this enough, the damage numbers that you will see in the video is only possible if you really commit as high as me into the character. I literally maxed everything that you can on this character, and only with that you will see such high damage numbers. Yeah, other than that, we want to do the showcase. I want to show you weapons, then all the artifacts, constellations, talents. Then we want to go and dive into some solo fights without any buffs, just Child on solo, how much damage he will hit against the enemies. And then I want to bring his team, his strongest possible team with him, and see how he will perform in different types of content. Yeah, with that being said guys, I think that I will cover one or two more Child videos after his banner release. So this video is just a couple days before his banner release in patch 1.4. So now let's dive into his builds. Now I will use, for this showcase, I will use a Rust on refinement rank 5. It is, in my personal opinion, not his best in slot weapon. His best in slot weapon, in my personal opinion, is the Skyward Harp. Then I think that Very Distant Hunt, even on refinement rank 1, is a very high contender to Rust. So if you do not have enough crit rate, I would definitely recommend the Very Distant Hunt. Rust is stronger if you go against single targets, so it will be stronger against weekly and world bosses, while Very Distant Hunt is stronger in AoE against smaller groups of enemies, or maybe in the Spyral Abyss, because it helps with grouping. Other than that, Amor's Bow and Skyward Harp, the two 5-star bows, with Skyward Harp being his best in slot weapon in my opinion, followed by Very Distant Hunt and Rust. I think they're all like equal depending on which playstyle you like more, but I just picked Rust just because of the design. But personally, I think that I do think Very Distant Hunt is stronger on Child just because of crit rate, and it helps with his Riptide. Here, so if you're ranking the bows, number 1 Skyward Harp, number 2 Very Distant Hunt, number 3 Rust, and number 4 Amor's Bow. And if you're looking for some alternatives, I think that a possibility could be the new bow, the Alley Hunter, that will be featured in the weapon banner with the release of Child's rerun. Other than that, Stringless is an option only if you run a burst Child. And other than that, I think that there are not much other bows that you really can run on Child. So Child is not a very free-to-play friendly character when it comes to the bows. Prototype Crescent could be an option, but I actually would not recommend it. Blackcliff Warbow also an option, but I would rather really go for one of the 4 weapons that I mentioned at the beginning, because they would make a huge difference on Child. Alright, other facts set, it is also pretty clear. The only real set that I would run on Child is Heart of Death. It is basically tailor-made for this. You get a 30% attack damage bonus for 15 seconds after you use your elemental skill. The 15 seconds doesn't really matter because Child won't stay any longer than 15 seconds on the field anyway. Alternatively, if you are not able to get a full set, then I would go for 2-piece Heart of Death and 2-piece Gladiators. That should work out fine. Or 2-piece Hydro, 2-piece Heart of Death, and 2-piece Noblesse. If you're going more for a burst route, should work also pretty good. And what I did run before was a 4-piece Noblesse, but I would rather give those to any of your support characters like Bennett or maybe Jean. Maybe you want to look at the subsets. So the subsets for my Child, they are pretty insane. So you can see I have a 30% plus crit damage roll over here. This one is like alright, but it rolled 70% into crit damage. Then we have a decent Hydro damage piece. It had energy recharge, crit damage on nearly 12%, and elemental mastery. And for the head piece, I'm using a crit rate piece with 31%, which rolled 21% into crit damage. Yeah, first Constellation, I think that this does help, but it doesn't affect it too much, because if you play your rotations perfectly, then this wouldn't really matter. So it would only help if you have like some errors in your rotations between your characters. Childe is all about rotating your characters, and when you come back to Childe, you want to have his E ability back. Now, I feel like that none of Childe's constellation is really necessary, which I thought at the beginning. Childe does scale a lot with his constellations because they do help him, but I do not think that they are needed at all. You have a big damage spike with all his constellations. I think that especially Constellation 3 is pretty good because you get 3 levels on the most important ability. Of course, Constellation 6 is a constellation that does help with his cooldown because after you use your elemental burst, it will reset his elemental skill. But actually, if you play it perfectly, this is not really necessary. It is just a quality of life change that you will gain. Other than that, I do like Constellation 4 as his best constellations, because it also really helps with his Riptide. And yeah, all right, so let's talk about the talents. As you can see, that the talents from my thread, they are pretty stacked even without having constellations on him. So normal attacks is all up to level 9. He gains 1 level because of his passive talent, Master of the Weaponry. So this does increase the normal attacks of your party members by 1 level. It will do it for everyone, so also for Childe. The E ability, I did crown it, so you can see the multipliers here. If you ask me if this is worth, I would say no. I would go maximum to level 9. I wouldn't crown Childe. The damage increase is very minimal, and the investment is very high. So I would rather crown other characters, even though if Childe is your favorite character. And the reason why I did this is because back in the day, I thought Childe will be my favorite character. I will main him a very long time, which I still do. But yeah, he's like not that favorite character anymore, which he was when he did released back in the day. And yeah, also his elemental burst has a very high multiplier if you level it up to level 9. Then talking about his passive talents, I would say that Childe is a character that has some very strong passive talents that are needed for him. He has the Riptide effect, which he does buff trigger when he crit, which you get through his Ascension 5 phase. And yeah, this one I thought. Last thing to do before we hop into the team comp is looking at his stats. So you can see that my Childe is level 90. These are his stats without any buffs or any resonance. So this is raw Childe stats. I would say that they are pretty decent. The attack could be a little bit higher, but it should be alright. So looking at his crit stats, 47.8, this is actually too low. So your Childe has to have a minimum of 50% crit rate. Crit rate is way more important than crit damage for Childe because you really need to trigger Riptide because this is his strongest feature. It does increase his damage heavily, especially in AoE situations. So the reason why I just want to show it with Rust is because I want to show the damage of the Refinement Rank 5 Rust. I have another showcase where I did use a Iridescent Hunt. That's another reason. So I will put the other showcase at the end card so you can see the damage with the Iridescent Hunt. And this one will be with Rust. I will eventually do another video, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, with another weapon. Yeah, crit damage, I think that this is pretty high. It is possibly achievable, but you did saw my stats. I could go higher with this, with better crit damage substats, but yeah, it should be alright. We have 90% hydro damage, and that's basically it. Okay, for team comps, I would say that there are not much options. So the one that you can see right now on the screen, in my personal opinion, is the best possible composition that you can get. Adding in Sucrose so you can increase elemental mastery, adding Bennett to attack buff Childe, and Jangling as the best reactor or pyro applier so you can constantly apply Vaporize with Childe. Other than that, if you don't want to run this, I think that his next best partner after Jangling, Bennett, Sucrose should be Fischl. So you can definitely run a Electro Charge combination with Fischl. Alternatively, Beidou is pretty good on the spot of Sucrose. And Even Shincho is also a very good one. So anyone that does help with his off time or with his issue on his E ability. So yeah. Other than that, this will be the team that I will showcase in this video. But we want to start off with Childe solo. So we want to remove all the characters and then we want to add in the characters again just to see how we will perform. Okay, let's just run around solo. So you can see the damage numbers from my Childe solo. This is the damage from the refinement rank 1 Rust. This is the charged attack.
Yeah. Hey, Shinsuk. Yeah. Yeah. Ta. Yeah. Ha. 隙を見せるのはほんの一瞬。Yeah.
Okay, next Ruin Guard.
Yeah.
Oh, I did mess it up. And 31,000 with a crit. Okay, I think that this was enough for solo Childe. So after adding in his elemental resonance with Tire, the attack gets increased to nearly 2,100. So I just want you guys to notice that. Yeah, now I just want to show you like the full damage rotation. We don't want to do any breaks in this. I will put in music from here on. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy, and if you guys do so, like, comment, and subscribe for more Genshin Impact content, and I see you guys next time.
When you feel it's hopeless, when you think that you lost, oh, I will take your hand and we'll rise up from the dust. Oh, here we go, 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 let us heal and grow. You won't be alone, we're unstoppable. Don't be afraid to show what we're going for. This is what we know. Here we come back to life, we're still breathing. Standing up, everybody's gonna see it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. Even if we fall, we will rise up and we follow the path that we believe in. No, we're not gonna stop until we reach it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. We rise up from the dust and claim our throne. We all have our reasons why we are on this track. Oh, we all have our burdens, yeah, but we just keep on fighting and we never look back. Here we go, 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 let us heal and grow. You won't be alone, we're unstoppable. Don't be afraid to show what we're going for. This is what we know. Here we come back to life, we're still breathing. Standing up, everybody's gonna see it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. Even if we fall, we will rise up.